Hello and welcome to Take This TV, the television book club podcast where each week we watch an episode or two of our favorite shows and talk about them with our friends in the fandom. That's you, bud. I'm Carmen Askernes, and I'm joined as always by the wonderful Kimberly Woods. Hello.
Hey, hot potatoes.
This season we are watching Three Body Problem.
And today we're on episode 3. It's called Destroyer of Worlds. Obsessed with their virtual reality quest, Jen and Jack race to solve a complex riddle. But advancing to the next level brings harrowing consequences. Dun dun dun.
Dun dun dun.
Does it ever?
Oh boy. So, man, this episode, things popped off in this episode.
Yep. And there will be spoilers, so if you haven't watched episode 3, pause, come back, and then join us.
Oh my gosh.
I'm going to launch right in and say, Carmen, remember last episode when you were telling us how much you're starting to like Jack?
I do. And when at the end of this episode, I was like, she like slammed him into the wall, and I was like, all right, Jack, just tell her whatever she wants to hear. You're in trouble. And then he threatens her, and she stabs him, and I'm like, she stabbed him once. He'll be okay. He can come back from that. Then she stabbed him again, and he started to bleed out, and I was like, I think he's dead.
I had to rewatch that part several times because I didn't realize that she like pushes him back at one point with her mouth, and then he's like bleeding from his mouth.
What? She pushes him back with her mouth?
At one point, she pushes him back with her mouth, and I was like, what is happening? This is weird. I didn't notice this the first time I watched it, and now I'm noticing it. This is a little odd.
So she must be an alien.
Did she stab him twice, or did she stab him once?
I thought she had an ice pick. Oh, yeah, because I thought she pushed him back and then stabbed him with an ice pick.
Yeah.
But she used some kind of like sonic blast or whatever from her mouth and pushed him back.
I don't know what was happening. Or if she just like nudged him. But I was like, ooh, this is weird. I didn't notice this before.
Oh, dang. I did not notice that at all.
Watch it again and see if you see the same thing.
Dang.
Just that last part. Because I didn't notice it the first time. I just thought she stabbed him twice too. But then I realized one of the noises was like the cracking of the glass.
Yeah. And then was it Dashi? The cop? Yeah. He's watching from the car, and we can see that like whatever's happening in the room. So the whoever cigarette girl is and whatever organization she's with, they're not only able to manipulate the camera footage, but they're able to project some sort of like mirror image or illusion or something, because he's not able to see what's happening.
Yeah, he's Jack, on top of it. He's doing his job.
Yeah.
You know, he should be able to see it, but...
Oh, man.
Yep. It's messed up.
She must be an alien or something. Because at first, when they met her in the abandoned building, you were just going to jump around.
Yeah, sorry.
But like, I was like, okay, so she's like some kind of zealot, or like, they're like worship. They're like, oh, the aliens are coming to save us or whatever. And so I was like, okay, I think if I was in that situation, I would definitely be like Jack and be like, I probably would have more finesse and just like lie and be like, oh yeah, whatever you say, and then like skip town. But yeah, no, it's wild because it's like, oh man, I thought that she was a human, but maybe she's not. Wow.
I mean, I think maybe she's still, I don't know why. She might have just been doing it for flair. I don't know. I mean,
how could you push somebody back with your mouth though? Like, she's out here doing chin-ups. Like,
oh my god.
For those of you listening, we were trying to do our best impression of smacking somebody with our chin.
Yeah, sorry. If you're not watching, you're like, what are these people doing? As the episode description says so wonderfully, a lot of this episode we do get the obsession of Jen and Jack diving into this world. Carmen, what did you think about seeing Three Body, the VR game, and what they were going through in the game?
I was really confused as to Jen / Copernicus, like what their plan was, because it seems like Jen's just been going around negging everybody. And I love that like the other players that they run into in level 3 just are like, get out of here, troll. And I was like, I guess Jen is kind of being a troll. Just like showing up and be like, yeah, all the stuff you're saying is dumb and this is wrong. No further explanation. It's just wrong and you're dumb. So I thought that was kind of funny. I also think that like when they see follower again, I think it's in level 2 or maybe level 3. I can't remember if they go 3, 4 in this episode, or if they go 2, 3, 4
I
in this
think
episode.
they went 2, 3, 4. Level 2, yeah, because at level 2, the little girl's like, I remember every time I've died.
Yes. And I was like, she remembers. And when she said that, I was like, that kid, something's up with that kid. Well, because it was weird that she was there because like they were able to join each other and do like a multiplayer game. And so we've seen different NPCs as they traveled around, but follower has always been there. And I was like, that's suspicious. That little girl is suspicious. And then when she said she remembered, I was like, that kid's like that. It's either like a player, another player, or there's something going on with that kid. So yeah, I was really suspicious of follower when she said she remembered. And then she told Jen that like she's running out of chances. And I was like, what does that mean? So what did you think of all that?
Yeah, I thought it was cool. I've been having this interesting experience of like being in the middle of book 1, reading a little bit, watching the series, and it's like continuing the story, almost like never-ending story or something. Like, it's like, oh my god, I'm in the book, I'm in the show. Oh my god, what's happening? So that's been a little bizarre for me, but it was really cool to see, especially like the big human computer sequence.
Oh yeah,
because they describe it in the book with like the white and black.
Oh, like, so that is in the book. Oh, cool.
Yeah. So that was really cool to see. And some of these people, I think you said you're seeing them as players, like the actual like, scientists that they have in the game that come, like Galileo or,
Yeah, that's their usernames, yeah.
But I think like it's funny in the book, like they actually have some of these scientists like saying certain things juxtaposed against like whatever theory is happening.
Oh.
To like teach the player.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Wait. Are you saying that those people are supposed to actually be like the game's version of the philosophers?
I think so.
Oh,
but I don't know. I mean, it could be they're like adapting it. Like I didn't think of it that way until you were like, these are the other players, and they're calling themselves like,
Interesting. Well, because like the one guy had glasses, and I was like, well, if he has glasses, he must be from the modern world because there's no way they would have that glasses, corrective lenses back then.
Yeah.
So I was like, so he must be another player from the modern world. But maybe I didn't. Well, I guess even then, I guess it would depend on which philosopher it was. But yeah. So I don't know. That's really interesting. I never thought about that.
But I enjoyed seeing it, especially like the syzygy day to the gravitational force, everybody being like drawn up towards the 3 suns. It was like pretty spooky.
At first I thought like the different levels are these. I have one theory about this at the start of the episode, and by the end of the episode, I have a different theory about this. So at the start of the episode, I was like, are they like being projected? Because I was like, okay, sci-fi, there's aliens, everything's on the table. So I was like, when they put these helmets on, their consciousness is being projected into a body on another planet. And they're actually on these planets, and these planets are actually being destroyed in real time while they are there because they're failing to save these planets. That was my theory at the start of the episode. At the end of the episode, I was like, okay, so the aliens who are essentially space refugees who are coming in this like arc, essentially, forgive the Bible reference, but coming to this to Earth to escape these cataclysms of the 3-body problem, they're essentially trying to find folks who can run through these simulations and have empathy to sort of be their harbingers, they're like advocates on Earth. And so they're running people through this like historical data of what happened to other planets in these different solar systems around these 3 stars, was my theory at the end of the episode. Was that like, were you thinking similar things, or what did you think?
Well, by the end of the episode, when they say civilization 9,478, and I was like, whoa, we're coming on these ships. I thought it was like teaching, as like a teaching tool for like, this is why we're coming. We wanted to prepare you for welcoming us. Because the little girl's like, you'll welcome us, won't you? So I feel like it's like a teaching device. But I mean, I also was wondering, like, or like, why are they recruiting all these scientists? Like, are they hoping that they will somehow solve the three body problem?
See, I'm glad you brought it up. I wasn't going to mention it, but since you brought it up, I was thinking like, well, these aliens don't know anything about human culture, because on our planet, they were like, hey guys, the planet is heating up and we're all going to die. And the people who could actually do something about it were like law and build rocket ships and destroy natural resources. So I was like, I don't know what they think is going to happen if they come here. But so I was curious, like, why not try to get world leaders? Like, if these people, Cigarette Girl and the folks who are like on the planet Earth, like if they have the ability to essentially erase themselves and like to move in this really inconspicuous way, why not like try to get presidents and world leaders and other people like that? So I thought that was really interesting, and I'm still not really sure what their angle is.
Yeah. It's we learn more about Jin too, because we get that moment with Cigarette Girl where she's basically like, we were measuring the action of your, section of your brain, and you had the biggest, like, strongest activation happening up there, as far as like saving the girl. And then we learn that Jin basically lost her parents in the flood in Ube. Her home was swept away in the middle of the night, and she was like the lone survivor of her family. And then Cigarette Girl's like, well, if you've survived, they've survived. And she's trying to like compare them a little bit to like the Santi.
I did laugh a little bit at that moment.
Yeah.
Because like, she's like, how do you know that? And I was like, Jen, this woman just told you that aliens are coming to the planet, and you're asking how she Googled about your life? Like, come on, my guy. I thought she was smart.
Yeah. Well, she took that in stride. She's like, that's the simplest answer, is aliens. And she tells Jack, because Jack's like, aliens, come on, get out of here.
Yeah, Jack wasn't having it.
Yeah. He left her there. I was a little bit mad at him leaving her there. I was like, come on. That's your buddy, though. You left her there with the strange cigarette lady.
You get invited to this like place in the middle of nowhere, and there's just like these 3 couches in this empty building with a stranger who can get in and out of your house without your knowledge. And you're just gonna leave your friend there? Like, come on. I mean, I guess they set up in the beginning that Jack is a jerk and he's not a great guy. So, but yeah, that was pretty bad.
True. We also get an interesting scene with Mr. Evans, where he is talking to a little speaker device thing, and we find out it's the same voice from the game. He's like the narrator. He's always like, civilization number, number, 148.
I didn't pick up on it being the same voice. That's really a great observation.
Yep. And he's telling her the story of Hansel and Gretel. And we learn a little bit about the Santi here, because they're a little bit confused that, like, one of them, like Hansel, could be scared and Gretel could be brave, because they experience all the same emotions as one.
Like a hive mind, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, that's interesting.
At first, like, because he was speaking to the radio, and I was like, is that a radio? There's no like receiver.
Yeah.
But then he said my lord, and I thought that it was a great artistic choice to have a feminine sounding voice, because a lot of the times in lords and ladies and all that stuff of like European, high society or whatever, lord is like a masculine term that usually refers to a male person, and then to hear a feminine voice, it's like, oh, okay, so he's not like addressing this is like outside of the realm of like what is like a societal norm in like a lot of Eurocentric countries. And so I
Mm-hmm.
thought that was a clever choice to like immediately let the audience know that like he's speaking to someone like this is like a position of power beyond humanity, is what I'm trying to
Mm-hmm.
say. And
Yeah.
I think that like at the end of that conversation, when the voice responds that humanity needs to learn to fear again, and like I was watching it with the subtitles, and it's like ominous music plays, and I'm like, I'm
That's
trying to
hilarious.
like draw my own conclusions about the Santi, but at the same time, that is an ominous thing to say.
Yeah. Yeah. They're like, a lack of fear leads to extinction.
Mm-hmm.
So in their mind, helping us fear again is helping to save us.
And I mean, the fact that like we get the impression that this guy is like a billionaire or someone with lots of power and influence, and so the fact that someone like that would be sort of like bending the knee to these beings means that like they have some sort of power that is not to be
Mm-hmm.
trifled with. So, um, yeah, I think it's like there's a part of me that's like, well, if the Santi are trying to come in peace, like why are they being so like you know aggressive about the way they're going about it and the what it seems like of, but I mean I guess like
But it's
they're a
hard to
hive
know
mind,
because they
so
have like, yeah. And then also like it's the humans that are kind of like, Cigarette Girl is like their
that's
boots
true.
on the
And
ground as far as
it's
we know.
true. And I guess the other scientists all committed suicide. Well, so we think, because there's the one person that they find that has drowned in a bathtub. One of the other detectives tells Dashi that like, oh, Oppenheimer's mistress died the same way, and everybody thinks
Yeah.
that she was murdered.
Yeah.
And so it's like, are all these scientists committing suicide, or are they being murdered by Cigarette Girl and
Yeah.
her crew of
Exactly.
rogues who rolled nat 20s on stealth?
Yeah. Just like she did to our Jack.
Mm-mm-mm. Rest in
Yeah.
peace.
I was watching too, and I didn't realize, like, because they were at the European Council for Nuclear Research there in the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
and they're talking about Oppenheimer, and then outside the building, which I guess is true in real life for the nuclear research place, there's Lord Shiva, who is like a destroyer of worlds, which is also the episode title. And I was like, oh, okay. That's
And there is
interesting.
that famous Oppenheimer quote that he said of
Mm-hmm.
like, "I am become death, destroyer of worlds," after
Mm-hmm.
he created the atomic bomb. Um,
Yep.
yep. Which I mean, like,
Yeah.
you know, I think that it's one of those things where I think that like I love the theme of the episode ties in with the title and with everything and with the mentions of Oppenheimer, where it's like we kind of knew that when the call went out that the person on the other end of the call that was like do not respond, do not respond, like warned that your planet would be conquered. So we knew this was coming, but it definitely feels like there are sort of powers at play that are making existential decisions that are going to affect the entire human race. And so it's interesting to
Yep.
see what happens with them. And then,
Carmen, how did you feel? Because you've watched like a TED talk on the three body problem. So
well,
when Jen's like coming in and saying this stuff like, I have a theory, it's the three body problem, like were you like, yeah, of course, this is what I thought it was because the show's called this. Like, did you already know that about the game?
no. Well, I've just
Okay.
been like kind of learning it along with the
Yeah.
characters.
Yeah.
And so I didn't put that together on my own before they kind of explained it in the show. I also think that like I have like the smallest understanding of the theory, and so I definitely think that like I think the idea of it being unsolvable, they kind of allude to like, oh, we're not looking for someone to solve it. I'm like, that seems like it's going to be the main problem that hopefully is probably going to lead to some kind of salvation at the end of the series of like, oh, somebody is finally going to be able to solve the problem or whatever. So I'm interested to see where they go with it.
Me too. I'm excited. I'm interested to learn more about this society or whatever.
Oh, I do want to also say I was shook because last time maybe it was episode 1. I was like, "Is this the kind of show where there are aliens?" Yes, it is.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Do you also have to say, I like the analogy because we see Will and he's had a surgery and he's kind of like drugged up and out of it when Jack and Saul are visiting him,
Mm-hmm.
and he tells them that he's had a chat with his cancer. And that cancer isn't inherently evil, and it's looking for a place to live with its children. And so it's like, okay, they're trying to draw this like comparison between the cancer and the Santi, like coming to
I
find
didn't
a
pick up on
home.
that.
And I was like, ew.
Yikes!
It's not inherently evil, but
Yikes!
just want a place to live with its children. I was like, ooh,
The
oh boy, here
oversimplification.
comes, yeah.
By the way,
So
in that scene when Saul is correcting him about like the name of the medicine or whatever, I was like, bro, like now I get why people don't like Saul.
diluted or whatever.
Yeah,
Will
I
was
was
like,
like,
it's diluted, and he's like, no, it's not.
yeah, he's like, actually, your
And
friend's
also, sorry,
dying.
speaking of Saul, he messed up again. He needs to get back to his science. Augie was like trying to test out if she started up her project again, if the timer would start, and yes, it did. She called Saul, and then what was Saul doing? It's with
Clapping
another
cheeks.
woman.
Clapping cheeks. Bro, I'm so done with Augie and Saul. I can't. I mean, we've been going this whole time. We hadn't mentioned them because that's how little they matter. And
Yeah.
I'm just like, look, hook up, don't hook up, start your experiment and just die already, or don't do it and move on with your open a bakery in Greece. I don't care. Just like get on with it. Because each episode's an hour, and it's been 3 hours of them being like, no, are we gonna kiss? Are we not? And I'm like, I don't care, bro. Saul, you suck. Augie,
We're
like,
learning about the Santi, okay?
why is Augie so aggressive, like with everybody? I'm like, I get it, Augie. You're really smart, you're really attractive, but like, reel it in, bro. Like, why are you being so aggressive to everybody?
How did she even buy that Jen and Jack were gonna actually listen to her and stop playing the game? Because
Yeah,
she's like,
she's
promise me,
me.
promise me. And they're like, okay. And I was like, they're not going to. Then cut to the next scene. There they are.
That's what I would have
Like,
did.
Augie.
Just like whatever she wants to hear to leave me alone. Sure. All right, man. Good luck with your experiment and the numbers in your eyes. Yeah.
But what is her research is important to, I don't know, the Santi or somehow, maybe, or not, or a threat in some way.
I
guess
feel like
should
her
say.
research must be some kind of threat to them, and that's why they don't want her to continue it.
Yeah.
Which means that she should. But she only has a minute left on her countdown. And the only person that can save her can get his life together.
But they have like all the data there, right? Can't the boss just kind of, not the boss, the other guy that works with her just like start it up again?
Oh, well, he said he was going
coworker.
to. And then Augie was like, you can't do this without me. And I was like, now, Augie, as somebody who's in a leadership position, you should know better about corporate America.
Yeah.
They don't need you, bro. So I thought that was funny. I laughed out loud at that moment. So I was like, okay. But goodness. Yeah, she was able to convince that person that she was going to try to start her project again, which is why she ended up restarting it, and the countdown restarted, which means that somebody is like constantly monitoring or is at least aware of if the machine is active or not. So yeah.
I'm sad that we have no more Sir Francis Bacon.
Yes. Good night, sweet prince. But I'm definitely liking it. I want to know what happens. I want to see if the aliens are actually like gonna be like ooga booga aliens, or if they're gonna be like people
4 light years away.
Yeah, I don't know how long that is, but they'll be here in 40 years. Whoa!
Oh my goodness. Well, thank you everybody so much for joining us. See you next time. Remember to find us on socials at Take This TV on TikTok and Instagram. Leave us a review. You can listen on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. And remember, it's dangerous to watch TV alone.